Programming languages have a way of doing mathematics, and these are some of the operations used while doing mathematics. The first one is the plus, which shows addition. The second one is the minus, which shows subtraction. And we have the asterisk, which shows the multiplication. We have the forward slash that shows division. And we have the percentage sign, which sounds modulus, and that helps us to find the remainder when we divide a number by another one. We have the greater than sign that shows us whether a number is greater than another. We also have the less sign that shows us that a number is less than another. We have the greater than or equal to sign that shows us whether a number is greater than or equal to a certain number. We also have the less than or equal to sign that shows us whether a number is less than or equal to another number. Now in Python, we can have numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And we can also have numbers such as 1.2, and 5.6, and so on. Now, these such numbers without decimal points are what we refer to as integers. And such numbers that have decimal places are what we call floating point numbers. Now, we can view floating point numbers as fractions and as numbers that we generate out of division. Before we go through that, let's try to exercise some of the operations we have. For example, I'll print 3 plus 2, and let's see what this is going to give us. So I'm going to run this, and it's going to give us our output as 5. Now let's also try subtraction. I'm going to comment this by using Ctrl and question mark on the keyboard. It's going to control it to comment it. And I'm going to also print a subtraction. So I'm going to print a subtraction by saying 10 minus 2. Let's save this. Now I'm going to run this again, and it's going to print 8, and that is good. Now we're going to clear this and close it. And let's also try multiplication. So I'm going to try a multiplication. So I'm going to print first and comment this. So I'm going to print 25 times 4. This should return 100. So when we run this, it shows us that we have 100. I'm going to close this and comment still. We're going to write print, and we're going to try division. So in this case, I'm going to try 1000 divided by 25, save. So when I run this, I'm going to print 40.0, which is a floating number. Just like I said, floating point numbers are fractions and they're generated by divisions. So let's close this. Now I'm going to comment this. Now let's try to exercise the modular sign. So I'm going to print 5 modulus 2. So this should return the remainder that remains after we divide 5 by 2. I'm going to save this with Ctrl S, run. So this is going to return 1. I'm going to clear this. And when I run this, we see that we have our output as 1, which means when we divide 5 by 2, remain with 1, which is our remainder. Let's try to also exercise the less than, the greater than sign. So I'm going to print, let's say 25 greater than 0. Let's also print 34 greater than 100. So let's save, and we're going to notice something very important. I run this, so I'm going to run the Python code, and this is going to return true for our first case. Let me first minimize this. So for our first case, we have 25 less than 0, which is true, and 34 greater than 100, which is false. So the greater than sign says if the number to the left is greater than the number to the right and returns true or false depending on what numbers we have. Now let's try to exercise the less than sign. So I'm going to clear this and I'm going to comment both of these with contra and question mark. Let's try the same thing for the print. So I'm going to print 25 less than 0, and we're also going to print, and let's say 34 less than 100. So when we run this, I'm going to run the code. We are going to see false for the first case, so let me first show this. So we're going to see that when we say that 25 is less than 0, it's going to return false because that is not true. 25 is greater than 0. And for the next case, when we say 34 less than 100, it's going to return true. So we have been able to see that when you use a greater than or the less than symbol, it returns true if the number on the left is greater than the number on the right. Greater than will return true, and it will be the opposite for when we have less than. So let's also exercise the greater than or equal to. I'm going to comment this and I'm going to come and print. So we're going to say 25 greater than or equal to 0, and let's also try saying 25 greater than or equal to, let's say 100. So we shall do the same for, let's first exercise this. So I'm going to close this and run. I'm going to run the code again, and you see true for the first case because 25 is greater than 0 and it's not equal to 0, and it's greater than or equal to 0. And for the second case, we are seeing it's returning false because 25 is less than 100. So I'm going to comment this and also try for less than or equal to. We need to print. I'm going to print 25 less than or equal to 0. And for the second case, I am going to return 25 less than or equal to 100. So when I save this, I'm going to first clear this, and when I run the code, we are going to see that for the first case we are having 25 not being less than or equal to 0 because it's greater than 0, and for the second case we are having 25 being less than 100.